Since it is now 7 p.m., convene the May 17, 2023 regular board meeting to order. Chris, would you please call the roll?
Marjorie Bartelli.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Debbie Bryan.
Here.
Karen Larson.
Here.
Joshua Martin.
Here.
Liz Sullivan.
Here.
Emily Swistak.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 2, opportunity for visitors to speak. Public comment is for the general public to address the board. Each person will have up to 5 minutes to provide public comment. Would anyone like to make a comment? No. Do we have any comments by email? All right, thank you. Agenda item 3, election of officers. A, may I have a motion and a second for LLD board president?
I move to nominate Marjorie Bartelli as LLD board president.
I will second.
Discussion? Okay. Roll call, please.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Agenda item B, may I have a motion and a second for LLD vice president?
I move to elect Emily Swistak, LLD Vice President.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call?
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
C, may I have a motion and a second for LLD treasurer?
I move to elect Karen Larson, LLD Treasurer.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, Chris?
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations, Treasurer Larson. May I have a motion and a second for LLD secretary?
I move to elect Liz Sullivan as LLG Secretary.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Thank you. Congratulations, Secretary Sullivan. Item number 4, Decennial Committee. That word's very difficult. All right, I'm going to have to read something along, so bear with me. This is explaining the committee. And I call to order the Library District Decennial Committee as part of this regular board meeting. So, per the Illinois Local Government Efficiency Act 50 ILC 70-1, taxing bodies are to form a committee to explore efficiencies within their organizations. The library's meetings will coincide with the regular board meetings for efficiency's sake. This inaugural meeting is to define the committee. The committee is comprised of all library trustees, the director, the assistant director, and 2 public members. I've approved a former board member, Lorna Turner, as a resident member, as she is familiar with the library operations, has a financial background, and has embraced volunteering in the community. I've also approved of Lisle resident John McCabe. Mr. McCabe is currently retired, but has previously worked for one of the LLD's technology vendors. John will have insight into operational and technology efficiencies for the district. The committee must meet at least 3 times and ultimately prepare a report for the county that describes efficiency efforts of the district. The next meeting will be in June, where the committee will discuss current efficiency measures and opportunities to increase efficiencies. Item 4A is public comment. As part of the act, the committee allows for additional public comment Is there someone who wishes to provide public comment on this topic at this time? Anyone? Thank you. If not, we'll move to agenda item number 5. Acknowledges that Trustee Bartelli and Trustee Sullivan reviewed the April billings in May, and that Trustee Swistak and Trustee Larson will review the May billings in June. Also, as is customary, the board president will train new trustees on the bill review process, or I will designate a veteran trustee to do so, depending on the trustee schedules. Agenda item 6 is the consent agenda. Is there a trustee who wishes to pull something from the consent agenda? Separate anything out?
Nope.
If not, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
Chris, roll call?
Emily Swistak,
Aye.
Joshua Martin,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Debbie Ryan,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. Agenda item 7, unfinished business. 7A, capital improvement project, monthly project status. Mark Rogers is the library's owner's rep, and I'd like to introduce you to our newly elected trustees, Debbie Bryant, Vanessa Berry, and Josh Martin. Mark, would you please update the board?
Of course. So obviously, welcome and nice to meet you. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit of a chance to meet me, but not too long because you want me out of here. So obviously, we just got through a major renovation project. We're in the closeout process of that project. Usually, closeout takes a few months. You have the punch list items, which are all the open items that need to be taken care of to close out the contract, and then you also have all the documentation, paperwork, change orders, all the fun contractual issues to just close the books on before we typically walk away. So we want to make sure you're in good hands before we do so. That being the case, if you have any questions, if you want to get up to date, feel free to reach out to Director Weinstein and she'll get a hold of me, or we can figure out some way to get you up to speed on anything that you might be seeing in my reports or any of the documentation that you might want to see as part of your role here. So welcome, and I'll try to be as transparent as possible and get you whatever you need to do your role the best way. And hopefully we've done that well with the other board members as well. So we've gotten to know each other really well for the past 2+ years. So I'll jump into it. I'll be briefer and briefer as this goes on. I know you have other business. So right now, Camosi is working on punch list completion. Out of over 200 items that they had to complete when we gave them the listing, they're down to about 40 items. So it's a good list. One of the items is interior signage. That's a big item, finished interior signage. We still have a few things to go on that. One of the other items we know is the handrail rust. They're coming back out with, yeah. I knew the question was coming, so we got an answer. They're coming out. We actually talked to them. We felt the handrails were too coarse, I guess, to touch. So they're coming out with a finer sanding paper, for lack of better words, to try to address it again. We're going to allow them to keep doing it because they know that the result, if it fails ultimately, is they have to replace the whole thing. So that's where we're at right there. But they are knowing it needs to be addressed, knowing it's too coarse, and coming out to do it. Things like landscaping are still ongoing. Friday, the landscapers are coming out to finish up the south entrance. If you look in the both right and left side of south entry, you can see there's a bunch of void space. That's where plants go because we didn't want to put them in the winter when they weren't going to come back. We also have parking striping going on that was bought as part of Camosi's contract. So they're going to seal coat and stripe over Memorial Day weekend. So there's a few things still going on as we get through this. The big things, just so you're all aware of, are lighting controls. We still do not have a fixed date of when the lighting controls will be active. Right now your lights are full on. Once we get a microchip from Crestron, which is a manufacturer, which we've had numerous projects with this problem from Crestron. I actually talked to a different manufacturer manufacturer's rep recently, and they said that they have multiple projects like this. They can't get the chip. The lights work, but we can't dim them and we can't automatically control them with the little touchscreens that you see on some of the rooms. The AV controls, same thing. It's a Crestron part. It lives in the closet back there. It hasn't come in. We're expecting that to be in Q2. That's what we've been told. We've been given quarters by the manufacturers, not dates, not months, quarters. So we'll see what happens here. Landscaping, we know that's coming up on Friday. Seal coating coming up. I talked about that in signage. Also a lot of little paint touch-ups and things of that nature. They're also getting lights on the added lights on the south vestibule tomorrow, starting. So it'll take 2 days to install them, but They're coming out tomorrow. Furniture punch list, there are a few things in production for shelving tops, especially upstairs, around the periodicals and things of that nature. And then downstairs, we have replacement art displays that are on order for 2 holes they were received with holes where the art is damaged right now, exactly. Those will come in, we'll probably coordinate when we have an extra piece come in for the, I want to say climbing wall. How would I say it right, Will?
That's fine.
Traversing wall. There's a traversing wall in youth services.
Boulders.
Yeah. They'll provide some of the damaged piece replacements when they come in for that. I think the only other thing to hit on really is it's an outside of scope piece. The parking lot lighting was outside of the scope of Camosi. We are having them address an issue we found on the south, would be the southeast lot right now. Your lights in the southeast lot are not on because there is an issue with a run from one light post to the next light post. We found an electrician who was able to troubleshoot this for us. They're getting us a scope of work. We'll have to pull for another permit from the village to get that addressed correctly, but that is in the works right now. And right now, I think with the contingency that is in the project available, we would, unless the board director says otherwise, we would probably plan on that coming from the project contingency. Even though it was part of scope, we have the money there, so let's do that there.
I think that makes sense.
I always give a monthly project cost summary, and any of the changes that are from the previous board report are noted down below.
And it's our page 33.
Thank you. You're page 33, my page 1. Just for the new board members' sake, what I'll go through is really we've had no land cost budgeted for, anticipated along the whole process, so that's been zeros at the top. The gray column down the middle, concept phase budget, that is the budget that we set before there were full design details for the project. Obviously, all these categories are going to ebb and flow, go up and down over the project. We're now nearing closeout, and we are still, if you look at the anticipated cost, that's the red box, tracking on budget with about $116,000 left of contingency that's unallocated. We've had committed costs of $7.47 million. So the balance of the 7.4 to the 7.5 almost to the 7.7 are things we are either projecting for or contingency. And you can see the cost paid to date, the expenditures are 6.7. We're catching up to that anticipated amount because obviously any of the invoices trail the work. So we still hold 5% contingency on Camosi right now for all of the work that they've already completed as part of the punch list and contractual requirements. Any questions on budget before I move on to invoices? Invoices, this is just the record of what has been recommended to be paid this cycle. This is from the last board meeting. So it's about $542,000. That is included in the 6.7 number that you see on my page 1, your page 33. And then change order update. I'll make note that all of the change orders you see are accounted for above the line. And when I say above the line for the new board members, what that means is contingency I consider below the line. We're not touching contingency without telling you we're touching contingency. Above the line would mean the building costs that I've projected for. You can see the 5.744 million. Line E-200.1, that's essentially where I have the actual contractual value for Camosi. Plus I've got allocations for things that might be upcoming, change orders, pending change orders, things that I think might hit the books. We factor it above the line there, so if a contingent change order comes up, it's already allocated for. We close out change orders every month to the board. Essentially what we've got right now is anything in black had already been presented to the board. Anything in red is an update, so you can see 63R as a reduced cost. We got that, we're reviewing it right now. I think there's the reason why that hasn't been approved because I think there's a little bit of duplication in cost between 63R and 69 electrical scope. And both of those, they had a ticket for overtime work for electrical contractor to be here while the elevator inspection was going on. Things like that where we're reviewing to make sure that you don't have double up in costs and the costs are agreeable before they get actually approved. So what was approved since last month was a planter infill that was making sure we had a detail right around the columns on the planters outside. Added scope for restroom fixtures. We added a lot of restroom scope to this project. Both these restrooms here on this meeting room level, as well as the restrooms in these services, they weren't really going to be touched. We changed out fixtures, hand dryers, things of that nature. And then we also took out abandoned lighting on the exterior. Bollards significantly were part of that cost. We also replaced some ceiling speakers. We trimmed out restroom doors, switches at 67, 68, actually right outside here where we ripped up the old entry. The one old entry used to be an exterior area. They infilled when you ripped out the old flooring. Underneath it was all unlevel, so they poured basically a new concrete topping on top of that whole thing, and that's what 68 is. 69 is still open. That's where there's a bunch of miscellaneous work in there that we're making sure that was done, was properly ticketed, and we have all the backup for. So all of those are in the project budget above the line. Any questions on those?
Yes.
All right.
First, thank you for mentioning the hand railings
Yes.
before I could even ask you about it. I appreciate it.
We need some background on that. The hand railing, Emily's pet project. She owns it.
The monument sign, I haven't been here at night. Is it lit up now or no, not yet?
We believe it is. It just passed for the final, actually I have the paperwork in my brief here. It just passed inspection on Monday morning.
Okay.
So. I
So when
believe
we
it's on.
leave tonight, we should be able to see it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is a very simple question. Is there a mechanism in the restrooms when the sensors, just had an occasion, a very elderly resident is not used to hands-free, couldn't figure out how to get out. Is there any, I assume the staff is checking the outside lights. I know when they're red, there's someone in there, when they're green, it's open. Well, if somebody doesn't know how to get out.
I think to get out, it's always a manual out.
You can just always hit the lever
Can
and
be.
let yourself out.
It can be,
Okay,
yeah.
apparently
Either
she
or.
didn't realize that, so I will let her know.
And it might be something with the signage, and I know we've talked about it internally here, we need to get it probably squared away, and it's probably, I mean, to get that a little bit more squared away, is we might replace the instruction signage on there
Okay.
to make it a bit more clear, because I think that's happened a couple times where people have gotten in there and didn't realize that all you have to do is pull the lever, open the door like any other door, and you'll get out.
Well, and even pushing it to get in, like you don't have to wave to open it to get
Correct.
in. You can push it to get in and not have to wait
Correct.
for it to open and then go back and close. You can push it and close it yourself.
The signage that came with the product is what we got, so
Yeah.
we are looking
Sure.
at modifying it.
I didn't even think about trying to get out the different way though.
No.
I just was excited because you're drying your hands and then you don't have to touch anything again.
Right, right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mark?
Mark's gonna fly away, so.
Yeah, feel free to ask. I'm gonna
For
go-
today.
Yeah, for today, exactly. I'm not going very far, yeah, exactly.
You will be back though, right?
I will be back, I will make sure that this gets closed out the right way, and we close out those 40 items.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you, nice to meet you all, and
Thank you.
and
Nice
good
to
luck
meet
over the
you.
next term.
Agenda item 8, committee reports. First, I'd like to mention that in June, I will be appointing committee chairs and committee members. I'm an ex officio member, and so is the director and the assistant director. The Finance Committee, first I'll explain the committees. And the Finance Committee is a standing committee that meets on an as-needed basis on the topic of finances and investments. Generally, the committee meets 2 to 3 times a year, depending on the need. Personnel and Policy is a standing committee that can meet as policy needs arise throughout the year. The committee will wordsmith policies for the district. Then there's the Physical Plant Committee, standing committee that meets on an as-needed basis also. This committee generally does some groundwork before larger projects. Hopefully we won't have any larger projects for a while arise, and can also address smaller facility projects. Advocacy and Outreach is an ad hoc committee that I formed to address a successful fundraising effort this year. This committee was created to explore ways to reach out to the community and support library initiatives. If any of the committees appeal to any of you, please let the director know via email. We'd like to have at least 3 trustees on each committee if possible, so that if there's an absence, we still have a quorum and so on. Please email Tatiana with your preferences, and next month we'll announce the committees, okay? Thank you. And with that, I'll ask for current committee reports. Is there any Finance Committee report? No. Personnel and Policy, any report?
No.
Thank you. Physical Plant?
No.
you. Advocacy and outreach.
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Agenda item is staff reports, director's report. Tatiana?
Okay, so, elephant in the room. Tonight is Assistant Director Beth McQuillan's last official board meeting. We do have something for you, Beth, so if you would, Will. After 32 years of superlative service to the district, Beth will retire as of May 31st, this month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes. So as I mentioned last month, Beth has served within circulation services, within technical services, and then most recently within administration. And Beth has been both, it's been a pleasure to work with Beth and also a privilege. Her institutional knowledge, her excellent judgment, and her keen ability with numbers has helped the district in immeasurable ways. She's been a key player in countless decision-making throughout her tenure here. We've all gained from Beth's contributions to the library, so thank you, Beth, and I'm sure you will not be a stranger.
That's right.
Okay, moving on. I have a lot to talk about, but I'll try to summarize my report because so much has happened at this library since last month. We had our grand opening on Saturday, April 22nd. I cannot believe it was almost a month ago. We had 500 people attend the actual ceremony. 800 people were actually in our building during that day. President Bartelli cut the ribbon. We had representatives from the village, the park district, the women's club, the police department, the fire district, and of course all of our residents came to celebrate. Former employees came, former trustees came, our newly elected officials came. It was a great time, and also Illinois Representative Tara Costa-Howard also showed up. So it was a really lovely event, and I'm still receiving positive reactions even to this day as people walk through the door. So it was a great event. Moving on, our newly elected trustees here had their introductory orientation on May 10th. We discussed library operations, staffing policies, board organization, OMA training, meeting schedules, and then the library's attorney also had his part. He went over OMA, FOIA, the budget, the BNA, TIDA, and all those fun topics. There is more to come. So you will receive a more comprehensive tour in the very near future, and then you'll also have your bill review with the board president and/or designee. And then moving on to Lisle Women's Club activities, they've been very active here at the library as well. They had a flower and vase giveaway in the outdoor pergola area on Saturday, this last Saturday, for a Mother's Day weekend event. And there was also a very sweet photo collage on social media if you saw that to commemorate the activity. I know Liz Sullivan was there and Lorna Turner. And then as part of the Lisle Warhol Committee, I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of Warhol stuff brewing in Lisle. Lorna Turner coordinated volunteers to participate in a bookbinding event just yesterday at the library. I know that Liz also was there, and we also commemorated that on social media. The booklet itself contains biographical information on the people who were selected for the Hometown Heroes mural. I formatted the memorial booklet with the help of our librarians here who sourced articles. The Women's Club volunteers assembled the booklets. The booklets will be available at the unveiling ceremony on Saturday, and it should be a lovely event. Technical Services Director Laura Murph taught the ladies how to use the bookbinding machine.
We only burnt ourselves a couple of times.
Oh no, I didn't hear that. But they came out very nice. So I have an example. I'm gonna shield the people, but a very nice booklet with articles. This is the hardcover version of historical articles to give away. The hardcovers will be given to the family members of the honorees, and then we have paper copies to give out to the attendees at the program. So yes, very exciting. And then lastly, under the LWC umbrella, the Oak Study Room, which is on the first floor just on your left as you walk down the staircase, will soon serve as the archival room for the Lisle Women's Club, founders of the Lisle Library District, and the Friends of the Library and the Foundation. That room has lockable cabinets and eventually will house their photos, their documents, their binders that are now stored in our storage room, which is very hard to get to. So we hope to have a ribbon cutting for that room this summer. And then, other visitors to the library, Congressman Bill Foster and his assistant Hillary visited the library on May 4th. He wanted to see the newest renovation in his district. So he did. Trustees Bartelli, Swistak, and Bryan, and I met with Congressman Foster. It was a very nice meeting. He met staff, had positive comments about the building. He really liked the Lisle. He liked the YS play area. And we just always appreciate our legislators coming to visit the library. His assistant Hillary promised us a constituents meeting in the very near future. We had one with Tara Costa Howard recently, and we'll have something similar with Congressman Foster soon. Speaking of other events, we had our first Gallery 777 artist exhibit post-renovation. This is Ellen Rotzolk's exhibit, Black, White to Color. It is downstairs at Gallery 777 right now. It will be here through June. We had more than 60 attendees at this event. That's 60. It was very well attended, and we're extremely happy to have local artists back in our building for the enjoyment of all. And then circling back to the unveiling ceremony, we will host the unveiling ceremony as of Saturday, May 20th at 11. It will be hosted at the south entrance off of Kingston, where we have the big picture window. The murals were delivered today, this afternoon, so tomorrow, Will, you and I, we're gonna try and put that thing up. It will be concealed before the unveiling, so we'll have some tarps over it beforehand, and then we'll have some curtains for the unveiling on Saturday. The Lisle Warhol Committee, the leadership there will welcome guests, we'll give brief biographies of our local luminaries, we'll unveil the mural, we'll have Warhol-themed refreshments, cookies, cupcakes, and then we will give away the lovely booklets that were made. And this, of course, all coincides with College of DuPage's Andy Warhol exhibit that's coming to the College of DuPage McAninch Arts Center June 3rd through September 10th. And then our event is also the kickoff to Lisle's Warhol-themed activities all summer long. So we invite everybody to come, and I have show and tell as well. And I'll start with President Bartelli's, but I wanted to show off. I hope you've seen the new library logo for Warhol. It's very neon, but we also received our summer read t-shirts, and trustees all get one with our new logo on the front, very bright. And then on the back, it says, Pop in Lisle.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I will pass those out after the meeting, but you can have yours now. Should I put this? No. It's up to you. And then Mark Rogers, that on Memorial Day, the entire library parking lot, all sides, will be closed to the public, so there will be no access to the book drops. Excuse me, lots of talking. On Sunday or Monday, but we'll alert patrons on social media. We'll have some signage around the building so people know that you can't come in the parking lot. We don't have fines anymore, so you know, if you miss a day on your due date, it's okay. And then just lastly, I wanted to acknowledge the passing of a longtime patron, Mr. John Marshall. I learned of his passing when I called his home to confirm that his discussion group, which meets in this room, could then schedule their next meeting. I ended up speaking with his wife. Mr. Marshall was well known amongst all of our staff. He always left the library with a huge stack of books. He came to a number of our programs. He attended our open house, our renovation open houses. I know he had some conversations with President Bartelli at some of those open houses. He was in full support of a robust renovation for the library, so he will be sorely missed. President Bartelli and I sent his wife a condolence card, and a member of his discussion group contacted me, and she wanted to talk a little bit more about a donation in his honor here at the library. So I know that their discussion group is meeting at the end of this week. So she told me that we would be hearing back from them about a donation.
That's nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my report.
Thank you.
Sorry, lots of talking. Won't be that long every time. I promise you.
Well, this will be the last assistant director's report.
From Beth.
Yes. I just want to give you an update beyond my written report. There was some activities at the facility that happened this past week. First of all, the partition here between the two meeting rooms, that was checked and balanced, and it's in good working order after the renovation. So that's something we do annually, so we waited till after the renovation, and this room was cleared, and so that's all in good working order. We had the plumber in and replaced a faucet in the building and a spigot outside that just wasn't working. We tried to get it going and had to be replaced. The piano here came out of storage and it was tuned this past week. And next week, there's 2 recitals happening from outside groups that use the piano then for recitals. So again,
Nice.
that's something we at least do annually or as needed if someone lets us know that it's out of tune. But the piano tuner said it survived storage just fine. There was no repairs that were needed, just tuning. And finally, Will Savage, our new assistant director to be, he took care of the tree, organizing the tree trimming around the campus, and that happened last Friday and Monday. So that was all completed, and there was a couple stumps that had to be removed, but we're in good order for the time being, and we're gonna keep an eye on a couple more trees that may be aging out, but the tree trimmer looked at them and gave us some good advice, so. And then, again, I'd just like to say that, as I said, I'm retiring at the end of this month, and I appreciate all the support and encouragement that I've received from trustees and staff over the years. And again, I want to thank Director Weinstein for all her guidance and instruction in my library career. As I was telling Trustee Brian, that I didn't go to library school right out of school. I did go later on when my youngest child was like a senior in high school. So it really was a change, but I was encouraged by many of the librarians here to go to library school. So this past month, Will Savage and I have been training together, and I know that he'll be a great asset for the library. So thank you again for all the support from the trustees and staff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Agenda item 10 is new business. 10A is the LLD salary scale for fiscal year 23-24. May I have a motion and a second, and then the director can provide an explanation.
I move to approve the updated salary scale in accordance with the Illinois minimum wage target for 2025.
I will second.
Okay, sure.
In the packet, you'll see a salary scale. This is posted on the library's website. Every year, we review it to ensure that there is an appropriate starting salary for different job descriptions, and then a ceiling to those salary ranges. Generally, we move the range 2% or with CPI, and that's what we've done here on the higher level positions. The lower level positions are a little bit, there's more of an increase there, 7%, 8%, and that's moving with the Illinois minimum wage target of 2025 to where minimum wage is $15 an hour. That's it. That's the explanation.
Any questions? Roll call.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. 10B is the LLD working budget for fiscal year 23-24. May I have a motion in a second? And then Tatiana will provide an explanation.
I move to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 Lisle Library District working budget.
I'll second.
Great.
Okay. So within the packet is the draft of the 23-24 working budget, which covers all expense and revenue categories for the library. There's also an introductory summary that precedes the spreadsheets there. This draft has not been modified from last month's draft, but I'll go over the categories briefly to benefit the new trustees and anybody in the audience. I'll mention that administration is consulted with the department directors, our outsourced financial advisors, and other outsourced professionals such as Lisle, who is our risk agency, and our auditors for their recommendations for the upcoming fiscal year. We create a budget-to-budget document, and we also have added a projected actuals as requested by the board. I'll start with expense categories first. Under employee costs, as you know, salaries and benefits comprise most of the budgeted and actual expenditures of the Lisle Library District. We show that salaries comprise about 50% of our budgeted expenses, and salaries plus the benefits comprise 62% of the expenses. And this is below the 60-70 split that's in the standards. But in some, our budgeted employee costs remain flat as compared to last year's budget. It's important to remember that the actual number that you see in the previous year is about 2 years old. That's the audited actual as compared to this upcoming fiscal year 23-24. So when we budget, we take into account salary increases, the minimum wage increase, and then also retirement. So if someone's at a higher salary and they retire, we generally hire at a lower amount for the next employee. We also budget as if every single staff member will work every single day of the fiscal year, just to be conservative. Now, we all know that not all staff work every day due to sickness and things like that. And we have about half the staff, we have about 49 staff, half the staff who are part-time and half staff who are full-time. We also have a reduction in our IMRF expenditures per IMRF representatives and Limerick, our other agency. So again, our budgeted expenses for employees remain essentially flat. Moving on to building costs, these include all of our utilities, maintenance contracts like landscaping, HVAC, rubbish removal, our phone system, and then some non-contractual building repair work. This one shows a modest increase of about 1.5%. Under operating, these costs include postage, printing, banking fees, and this line shows an increase primarily due to an increase in paper costs for us. Under insurance, this includes bonding for the notary, property damage, workers' comp, and this shows an increase per recommendations from Lisle, our risk agency. And then just a note on this category, this is a calendar year versus a fiscal year category. So it starts in January, goes through versus our fiscal year that begins in July. Under contractual, these costs include our attorney fees, audit costs, investment agency fees, our outsourced IT services, and payroll charges. We see some increases here due to new cybersecurity requirements, so you see an increase of about 6.5% there. Under personnel development, these are staff and trustee dues, conference attendance, continuing education and training, and we show a modest increase here of about 3.5%. Under equipment, these costs include, I'm going to say a little bit more here because I promised you a little bit more of an explanation on an enhancement here. So under equipment, this includes the Polaris database, which is our catalog, technology purchases and minor repairs such as like the refrigerator goes out or something like that. Our boiler inspection fees are here, as well as our fire safety inspection costs. Our IT manager is also replacing our instructional laptops for patrons. So we built in some inflationary increases to this line, and I also mentioned a potential Polaris/catalog enhancement. And I promised an update today. So the Director of Technical Services, Laura Murph, she went on a conference, went to a conference in Arizona. She got a grant to go there, and she learned about this product called Vega. And this product could coincide with our new website refresh. They're two separate things, but it would be nice to have this user enhancement along with the new website. And what this does in terms of when you're searching for materials via the catalog is that it provides a very quick one-click way to either authenticate you for digital content or to find various formats. You don't have to like click and choose what format you want to see. It just brings up a page. It's akin to like a Google search that brings all your library stuff to you in one fell swoop. Now, there are layers to this product. So there's a discovery layer, which is this Google enhanced type, Google-esque, I'll say, enhancement, where it brings all of these links to you and you have full selection and instant authentication. Then there are other layers where, for example, if you're looking for books for your child and they're animal books and you're looking up animal books, there's a layer that you can purchase that will also pull in your programming. So if you're looking for animal books and we have a story time that's animal oriented, it will also bring up the program as a clickable link where you can auto register for the program. It's kind of neat.
That is neat.
Yeah, and then there's another layer. There's all costs involved, but there's another layer where I'm not sure if you've all used our calendar program on the website. That is another vendor that we use and have used for umpteen years. This product, Vega, has a calendar interface that kind of jives with everything else in terms of our catalog. According to Laura, the calendar via Vega is much more user-friendly, looks better, cleaner, and then we could, disband with the contract with our current calendar program. So, again, we have budgeted, I think, $30,000 for this entire product, but we're in the learning stages of this. So, it's staff's recommendation just to budget for the $30,000, and maybe we just purchase the first portion, the first discovery layer, see how that works for us, and maybe add a la carte as the year goes on, or maybe wait till the next budgeting year to add the other layers. So that's what that's about. Moving on to library materials. These include all our physical materials, our books. It includes our digital content, as well as interlibrary loan costs for us. We just show a modest 3% inflationary increase here. Under programs, this includes all of the library programs, our community relations costs, and then supplies for the programs. We hope with the newly renovated library, we see a lot more programming happening, a lot more participation. So there is an increase of 17% there. Our contingency generally always remains flat. Under restricted, these expenses include our Illinois per capita grant proceeds, other grants that we receive, gifts, our debt repayment, and transfers to special reserve. And total budgeted restricted costs without that transfer to special reserve shows a decrease of 7%. The budget to budget decrease is because last year we had a defined Zilla fundraising effort, and this year we haven't outlined anything for that. We can, or we can, with the budget and appropriation portion that's coming up this fall, we can allow for that if we have more discussion on another fundraising project. The transfer to special reserve shows a suggested increase to save for future capital projects, such as a roof replacement or sidewalk replacement, or opportunities for the vacant lots. So you see an increase here of 13%. We're getting to the bottom end here. Under special reserve, these expenses include obviously capital improvement project costs and facility enhancements. So this category shows a decrease because we've completed the renovation, of course. It does allow for any outstanding invoices for the project, and Mark has worked with us and thinks that what we have here is a conservative number, but an appropriate number to go through the budgeting process. Also budgeted is to replace our HVAC software, which we've discussed in prior meetings, with a new product, and to also entertain having an outdoor book book locker for patrons to pick up items after closing hours. The software, we budgeted $25,000. For the book locker, we budgeted $15,000. Again, it's a budgeted number. It doesn't mean we necessarily would expend on those items in this year, but these are projects, again, we've talked about. We would like to talk about them with the newer elected trustees and with the prior trustees again, moving through the year, and we can do that as long as it's within the budget. Next are revenue categories. Under corporate, the tax levy was increased per the renovation project plan. It was actually half of the CPI. Our personal property replacement taxes have increased. The district population has increased, and the EAV has also risen. Our interest income has exceeded our expectations. The financial advisors gave us our numbers last year, and so they've supplied us with numbers this year that they think we will meet. All of these factors contributed to the increased revenue in this line. And then the IMRF fund shows a significant decrease, primarily due to the fact that we are fully funded, we have a very healthy balance, and we've had some staffing changes as well, so we do not need to budget any further in this line for this year. The FICA fund remains essentially flat. This aligns with the Social Security and Medicare rates that that our risk agency recommended for us. So. And then under special reserve, it shows an increase due to budgeting for more gained interest and transferring those additional funds for future projects down the line. So to recap, we show a reasonable 3%-ish increase in expenditures for fiscal year 23-24. This overall increase, again, accounts for inflation, some staffing changes, technology, opportunities for capital projects in the future, flexibility for future operational or service needs. We have to leave a little bit of flexibility there for us throughout the year. And then budget to budget from last year to this year, it's about $150,000 difference. And then under revenues, we show a 6% increase in revenue. Again, our financial advisors advised us, and our outsourced professionals also provided recommendations for us. And then ultimately, the county will determine our final revenue via taxation in the end. And then lastly, I'd like just to mention that our overall financial plan used a variety of financial advisors for our renovation project. So it's understood that we will regularly assess our financial plan as we move through the years, even post-renovation. And we also want to think about future projects like roof replacement, part of the FTC report that we have in our history banks. Or do we want just to replace our roof? Do we want to add solar panels to our roof? I mean, all of these things we will discuss in future meetings. Sidewalk replacement is also part of the facility report that we had. So having a little flexibility in the budget, again, is important to maneuver through the year. And then once all of the renovation invoices are paid, I would recommend discussing a future financial forecast as we've done in the past, with having one of our advisors come in, either Sickich from accounting or Ellers, our investment firm, coming in, meeting with the finance committee and talking about our moving forward with a plan. Again, we've used the advisors to get us through the renovation and to prep us for the renovation, and now we should continually assess our balances as we move forward after the renovation. That is my report.
Phew.
Yes, sorry. It's a lot of repeat of before, but I think it's good just to.
No, it's important.
Any questions on the budget? Roll call.
Joshua Martin.
Aye.
Liz Sullivan.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
Debbie Bryan.
Aye.
Karen Larson.
Aye.
Emily Swistak.
Aye.
Margaret Markelli.
Aye. Motion passes. 10C, the cleaning services proposal. May I have a motion and a second, and the director will provide an explanation.
I move to approve of the nightly cleaning services proposal for a 6-month term in the amount of $11,970 These 6 months of service may include day porter service and supplemental cleaning as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, so the trustees received, the RFP was out on the website, we had a bidding process. The lowest bidder came in. The lowest bidder who came in is our current cleaning service. Assistant Director McQuillan and Assistant Director Savage walked all of the competitors through the building and looked through all of the bids. The current cleaning service did meet all of the qualifications. However, our assessment of their work was not 100%, I would say. So we consulted with our attorney and we asked if, though we went through the bid process, if we could ask for a 6-month contract. He said yes. And so Will contacted our current service. They obliged us with a 6-month contract, and then we will go from there and see if they can address some of the non-satisfactory things. They're not outrageous, but we just want to make sure that we are 100% satisfied with our cleaning service.
Thank you. Roll call.
Liz Sullivan,
Aye.
Karen Larson,
Aye.
Vanessa Berry,
Aye.
Debbie Bryan,
Aye.
Joshua Martin,
Aye.
Emily Swistek,
Aye.
Marjorie Bartelli.
Aye. Thank you. 10D acknowledges payment of earned and unused vacation time as required by the Illinois Wage Payment and Collection Act, 820 ILCS 115/5, of a payment that shall not exceed $17,017.92 to be paid to Beth McMillan. And item 11 is opportunity for trustee comments. First of all, well, we'll go in order tonight, but I'd like to acknowledge Beth with a gift. The gift is from Emily, Liz, Karen, Jenny, Laura, Sarah, and myself. We'd like to thank you for your exemplary service to the LLD. Especially want to thank you. I'm not sure about this fact that Beth agreed to stay on through the renovation, so did that mean she wanted to retire a little bit earlier? I'm so glad you stayed through the renovation. She couldn't have done it without you. And the grand opening. We wish you all the luck in the world and fun in your retirement.
Thank you.
Definitely miss you. And
This is my home library, so you will see me.
also like to present you with this from us and say thank you very much, Beth.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Okay. And we'll move on for trustee comments. Trustee Berry, anything you'd like to comment on? First meeting?
I'm good.
Overwhelmed? No?
Just taking it all in.
Thank you. Trustee Bryant?
The same, but thank you
Okay.
for welcoming us, and yeah, we're excited. I'm excited to be part of the team here.
Great, thank you. Trustee Larson?
Oh, Beth, you're gonna be missed. Yeah, she's played such an integral part in the library, and you're really gonna be missed. But we'll be great too.
Could always be a consultant.
Yeah.
I have her till the 31st.
Yeah, 14 days.
Yeah.
Trustee Martin?
Well, I just want to say that even though we didn't get the chance to work together more, I gather that your contribution here is really unparalleled. So I will say thank you for your service here. Looking forward to building a relationship with Will likewise, and really appreciate the welcome and the opportunity to, I would say, kind of start a new chapter here with the renovation being completed. And I know that you've done most of the work and the heavy lifting, but I know that there's still continuous improvement and more things that I look forward to being a part of and contributing to. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sullivan?
First of all, thank you for all your work, Beth. Second of all, welcome everybody. Third of all, I think it was Jenny, Trustee Norton, who told us, don't forget FQC. So this is somebody who came out and gave us kind of a rundown of all the things we need to look at in our building. And it was done way before the renovation. I forget what year. What is it, about 5 years old?
2019.
So I'm wondering,
2019.
2019, yeah, if
Pre-COVID.
maybe at some point we need to have somebody, I know our renovation made us perfect, but at some point if we need to take a look at someone coming in on a more limited basis and giving an estimate as to when we need to have the roof done. When do we need to look at changes, additions, things of that nature. I don't know if that's,
Well, I think a lot of that is in there. I know it's outdated, but it gave an estimate 1 to 3 years.
10 years.
5 to 8, 8 to 10. And I also, that's a great idea, Liz. I think too, our physical plan committee will address that. So if that's something you're interested in.
Get
maybe a
it,
committee you are the current chairman of that committee, so we don't know, going forward.
We'll come up with you.
Good committee. That's my favorite committee. That was my first committee, but I love it. But anyway, thank you, Liz.
yeah, I think
that it?
it'll,
Or-
yeah,
I'm
I think
sorry,
it'll have
I cut
some,
you off.
no, I think it'll have some budget impacts and all that stuff.
Sure.
Maybe not the first year, but going forward.
But it's a good resource tool.
It sure
too.
is. That's a very good resource. Okay. Vice President Swistak.
I'm at the end of the alphabet again. It's weird not having other people after me. Beth, I just wanted to say thank you. Congratulations on your retirement. As everyone else has already said too, you will be missed. And we're just so proud of the work that we've done with you. And just serving on other committees with you and, seeing you a lot. So I'm glad that this is your home library because we'll still see you in and out. I'm assuming you'll come with your grandkids sometimes and maybe. But it'll just be nice to still see you. It's not like you're gone forever. So anyway, so congratulations on your retirement. Welcome to the 3 new trustees. Looking forward to continuing the onboarding process with you. I know it's overwhelming when you're sitting at the first meeting and not really knowing what's going on. So welcome. We're glad you're here. And then the other thing is I just had a couple of things that came up today. One, a parent at the preschool today talked to me about the climbing wall in youth services and about how it's not visible when the parents are sitting on the outside and sometimes they don't know that it's there. And then they don't know that necessarily their kids are climbing on something because they can't see it. So I don't know if there was thought to having signage, like there's a climbing wall inside here or a mirror or something in there so that they can see. But that was brought up to me today, that was a concern, that the parents were sitting out and didn't know. So I don't know if you've seen anything in there where there's been any issues with a kid, something happening at all, or?
No, and that's why we made it a bouldering wall, so it's so much lower.
I know it's lower.
So any kids who are getting high enough, some kids can reach the top, but those are kids that are probably not supposed to be climbing on it anyway. Who are capable.
Okay.
So the littles who we would need to be worried about can't get much higher than their feet are maybe a foot off the ground.
Okay.
So, but that's the first time I've heard anything about it. So
Yeah,
we-
I mean, really, it was just a parent today at preschool mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh. It's like, I didn't even think about that, but I don't have kids that are that little that I, would be concerned about.
But having a sign saying that there is
That
one,
there is
then
one.
it gives the parent the idea that, oh, my kids
Yes.
are in that play area.
Right.
I may want to go there and
Yep.
take a look.
Yep. So that was the one thing. The other thing, just curiosity about how the pickup window usage is going.
So far, so good. I'm glad you said that. We will have statistics start in the new fiscal year, but I have talked to the director of circulation, and it's been smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then my last thing is I know that a lot of people already know this, but my youngest son is very excited about the fact that he is now of age that he can volunteer at the library, because you have to be going into 6th grade to volunteer. So starting with the summer read, and he's coming on Tuesday night to train, and apparently he's already reached out to Miss Mallory to see if there's other opportunities for him to volunteer. So anyway, so just really excited to see volunteering from the youth coming back into the library. COVID, you know, when they went away with COVID, and then with the renovation and all that. So just excitement about that, and being able to be in here more often, and all of that. So just excitement about that. And I just keep hearing positive comments from anyone that I talk to about the renovation and how great the library looks. And every time I've been in here, there's been tons of people, which is just really exciting too. So anyway, that's it for me.
Great. Thank you.
Right.
So that moves us to the last item on the agenda, which is to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
There we
We
go.
have to do a roll. Can we do a roll?
Yeah, we can do a
All
voice
All in
vote.
favor? Aye.